Hello friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joy C. Joy and today in this lecture we will be discussing about Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code of 2019. Now this is a very important topic for your UPSC examination, both from your prelims as well as your mains examination perspective. Now if we consider the prelims examination, these codes or any other bills introduced by the government or any important regulations or guidelines provided by the government, these are all very important. Now if you have seen the 2019 Civil Services prelims question paper, you would have seen a question on the law that was made by the government on contract workers. So this law was applicable to the contract workers. Various provision of the law was given. 3 statements were given and the candidate had to pick up the right statements. So such type of questions are very common in your preliminary examination, and therefore Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code of 2019 is a potential question in your preliminary examination. Now, from your mains perspective, this is again important in both your GS paper as well as in your essay paper. First, let us talk about the GS paper. In your GS paper, this is an important topic because UPSC can ask you questions about the recommendations of the government or any committees or the guidelines given by the government in order to ensure the safety and security of the workers in the industry or regarding the welfare of the workers. Such type of questions are expected. Now, in your essay paper, questions can be asked about increasing the ease of doing business in India or increasing the worker productivity or the GDP growth. Everything can be connected to this topic because Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code of 2019 aims at providing better working conditions for the workers in India or the employees in India. So this is a very important code that is drafted by the government, the union government. So from the UPSC perspective, we will study and understand what is this code all about. We will also discuss what are the provisions of the code. We will also see what are the authorities appointed or sought to be appointed under this code. All this we will discuss in detail in this lecture. So let us first start with the current affair. So recently this code was introduced in the parliament by the union government, and therefore it is in the current affairs, it is in the newspapers recently. Now, if we see what is this code or why the government introduced this code, the basic reason or generally we can say that this is to improve the working condition of the workers in the country and thereby increase the productivity. So this is the general answer. Now specifically let us see what is the target or the rationale of the government when government introduced this code. The first one is to increase the productivity. Now the productivity or output of any industry is dependent on the productivity of the worker. So the worker productivity and the output of the industry is directly proportional. So for that reason, if the productivity of the worker increases, the output of the firm will also increase. So when the firms will have more output, it means that they are contributing more towards the GDP or gross domestic product of the country. So this is the first reason and the first rationale. Now second reason is the economic benefits associated with this. When the welfare of the workers increases, their productivity increases. It means when a worker is working more or when a worker is more productive, he will have more economic gains. So this is the second reason. And finally, when the GDP of the country increases, again it is economically beneficial for the economy as well. Now, the third thing is that the present code repeals and replaces 13 labor laws. So earlier there were 13 labor laws which will be replaced by the single code. Now this will simplify the process and the ease of doing business would be very easy. This is because when there are a number of laws or guidelines or rules existing, it is very difficult. There can be mismatches, there can be duplication, there can be confusions. Now this is easier for the workers as well as for the employers, both of them, to understand what is the law that is existing, and the workers can take the benefit out of it and the employers also will have ease of doing business without much complications. So the complication level will come down. Now fourth one is that it enhances the ambit of the provisions. Now what is meant by the provisions or what were the provisions that were existing already? So here the earlier labor laws were applicable for about major 9 establishments. Now, from the 9 establishments, the code enhances the ambit or the scope of the code towards any establishment which will employ more than 10 or more people. So, any organization, if they have more than 10 employees, this code is automatically applicable. So, the provision is extended, or the scope of the provision is extended to include more number of employees within the ambit of this particular code. And now, the fifth one is that it also has special provisions for certain type of establishments. For example, construction workers, mining workers, or anyone who is working in risky situations. For all of them, there are separate provisions and special provisions which will provide them more attention from the government as well as from different stakeholders. So this is all about the bill. And one more important thing is that this is not applicable to apprentices. That means this is not applicable to trainees who are working in an organization. So these are the important facts that you should know about the bill. Now let us come to the provisions of the bill. Let us understand the provisions of the bill in detail. So the first provision is regarding relevant authorities within the code. So within the scope of the code, the government has established certain relevant authorities who are responsible for the implementation of this code. So such first relevant authority is the registering officers. So first one is registering officers. Now, what is the responsibility of registering officers? So registering officers have the responsibility to register all the establishments which are covered under this code. So it means that any establishment which employs more than 10 or more people must register themselves with the registering officer. So this is the responsibility. Now secondly, we have the inspector cum facilitators. So this is inspector cum facilitators. So this inspector cum facilitator will inquire into any accidents or any kind of negative incidents in an establishment. So the function of inspector cum facilitator is to record the accidents or inquire into the accidents and also conduct inspections in the establishments. So this is the purpose of inspector cum facilitator. Now, both of these authorities, they are the relevant authorities under this code, and both of them will be appointed by the respective governments, that is the union government plus the state government. So the state and the union government will appoint these two relevant authorities, and additionally, apart from both of these authorities, if it is required, the state government and the union government can also establish safety committees. Safety committees will consist of employees, representatives of the employees or the workers, and it can also include the representatives from the employers as well. So employers plus workers, the representatives can be included in the safety committees, and if necessary, the government can establish safety committees apart from the two relevant authorities. One is registering officers, second one is inspector cum facilitators. So this is the first provision. Now second provision is regarding the advisory bodies. The state government as well as the central government can establish advisory bodies both at central level and also at the state level. So for the central level, the central government will establish an advisory body. At the state level, the state government will establish an advisory body. Now the purpose of the advisory body is to give recommendations to the government on various standards, on various rules and regulations framed under the code. So advisory bodies can give advice to the government. It can be regarding the safety of the workers, welfare of the workers, regarding the health of the workers, can be anything under the scope of the code. Now, third provision is regarding the duties of the employers. Now, the code gives specific duties to the employers as well as to the employees. So, first we will discuss about the duties of the employers. So, the code specifically mentions about the duties. The first one is that the working place or the place where the employees are employed should be very safe from any hazardous incidents or any kind of hazardous situations. So this duty pertains to the safety of the workers or the employees. So it is the duty and responsibility of the employer to provide a safe working environment to the employees or to the workers. Now second duty is to provide an annual health inspection or a health examination for all the workers. So this is for the welfare and for the healthy condition of the workers. So these are the two specific duties of the employer that is mentioned in the code. And also there is a duty which is mentioned, that is in case of any accident or in case of any death at the place of work, then the employer has the responsibility to inform this incident to the relevant. Now the bill or the code also talks about the rights and duties of the employees. So under the rights and duties of the employees, the workers also have certain responsibilities or duties. The first one is that they have to take care of their own health and safety. So they need to take care of their health and safety, and along with that they have to comply with all the safety standards in the organization. And if there is any situation where there is an unsafe working condition, then the worker has to inform it to the employer. So these are the responsibilities or the duties of the employer. And when we talk about the rights of the worker, the right of the worker includes, in any situation they have the right to be informed about their safety conditions, about their working conditions, and get relevant information from the employer. So these are the rights and duties of the employees. Now coming to the working hours. So in the code, the government has given specifically regarding the working hours or the maximum working hours for the workers. So it is specified in the code that both the central government and the state government will specify the working hours for different categories. This is because different sectors or different job or employment has different nature. So according to the nature of the employment, for specific establishments, specific working conditions and working hours will be mentioned by the state government as well as the central government. Now regarding the overtime work, so if any employee undertakes an overtime work, then the employee should be paid at least twice the rate of the daily wages. So for the overtime work, the employee should be paid twice the normal wages or the daily wages. And with regard to working hours before 6 a.m. and after 7 p.m. regarding women employees, so the organization or the establishment can employ women employees before 6 a.m. and after 7 p.m. after the consent of the employees as well as after getting consent from the respective government, that is either the state government or the central government. So this is regarding the working conditions for female employees as well as working rules for the overtime work or the compensation to be paid for overtime work. Now regarding leave, no employee may work for more than 6 days in a week. So maximum threshold for a week would be 6 days in a week, and this 6 days rule is not applicable to motor transport workers. But the code also specifies that the worker must receive paid annual leave for at least 1 out of 20 days in a year. That means for every 20 days that a worker engages in work, at least 1 day should be given as leave, and this must be paid leave as well. Now for the sales promotion employees, medical leave may be provided at least 1 out of 18th period of service. That is out of 18 days, 1 day can be permitted as a medical leave. And during the period of medical leave, at least half the daily wages must be given to the employees. So these are the conditions regarding leave and the compensation regarding the leave. Now regarding working conditions and welfare facilities given to the employees or the workers. So it is a responsibility of the employer to provide safe working conditions, that is hygienic work conditions, to the employees or the workers. So this hygienic or safe working conditions includes provision of ventilation, comfortable place, the temperature, humidity, sufficient space, clean drinking water, sanitation like toilet facilities. All these are included under the working conditions and welfare facilities. And other working facilities or welfare facilities other than the basic requirements should be provided to the workers as per the direction of the central government or the state government. Now regarding provisions for offences and penalties under the code. So first one is regarding the death of an employee. So if any offence leads to the death of an employee, then the then the offence will be punishable under the law, and imprisonment can be given up to 2 years and fine can be up to 5 lakh rupees or a combination of both. And also the courts can direct to provide the 50% of compensation to the heirs of the victim. And in case of any violation of the provisions of the code, fine can be charged upon the employer and it can be up to 10,000 rupees. So these are the provisions regarding offences and penalties mentioned in the code, and this is very important, as I said in the beginning, for your prelims as well as your mains examination point of view. This is a very important topic, especially you have to know what is this bill all about and how it will benefit the working condition in India, how it can improve the productivity and the overall GDP. And the provisions are also very important for your preliminary examination. You can find the PDF of this lecture on our website www.studyiq.com. You can also follow my Facebook page for more video updates, and you can write to me at joyce.studyiq@gmail.com for any of your queries and clarification. Thank you.